Hello, TikTokers. Okay, so I'm out here in the field today, and I've stepped out, probably about 50 feet into the pasture, and I just want to observe right now horse body language and what's going on. So I'm not going to them, I'm just stopping and I'm seeing who's going to do what here. We've got Trixie here on the left. Got Wyatt next to her. We've got Honey right behind Wyatt's peeing. We've got Honey right behind Wyatt. We've got Whiskey right there. We've got Hope to Whiskey's right. We've got True. Then we have Cutter. Then we have Shakespeare. So we have someone, a person behind me is calling. Oh, it's one of these little kids. She's calling another horse. Here comes Wyatt. But she just let Charlie back out. They were up there riding Charlie, and looks like it's getting ready to rain. It's actually overcast and quite a bit cool here right now. So one of the questions, oh, there goes Charlie. Charlie's running back into the field. He's happy to be back. Yay! So there he goes.
Oh, hi, Wyatt. Your place is so cute.
They're gonna get Trixie, and they're gonna ride Trixie, I think. They're saying hi to Wyatt right now. Oh no, actually it looks like they're gonna go maybe get Hope and Trixie. So the kids do ride. They ride Hope, Trixie, and Charlie. So there you go with that. Here comes Wyatt. Wyatt's coming up to say hello to me. Hey, sweet boy. Hello, sweet boy. Hi. How's my little man? How's my littlest man? Oh, you're such a good boy. You're such a good boy, yeah. So I'm gonna wait for the kids to go, but they're gonna take those couple of horses up and ride them. So the question I want to answer today, folks, is: can horses sense human emotion? Okay. I talk a lot about energy, and like yesterday I did a session with the flag, and I said, it's all about your energy. A flag is just an extension of your energy. And I wanted to talk a little bit more about that, because horses, as I have said before on many of these videos, are incredibly telepathic. They are incredibly sensitive creatures. So, can horses sense emotion? The answer to that is a resounding yes. They can sense emotion. More so than even emotion, they can sense energy extremely well. So, I think I've told you all this before. There's a very famous horseman named Buck Brannaman. He specializes in, horsemanship. Hi, sweetheart. This is True. Buck is an excellent horseman. He teaches clinics all over, the world, and he will tell you, he will say, show me a horse and I will show you their owner. Okay. Now, the reason he says that, and actually the barn owner here, we were just having a conversation about this, and he said, you could have a gathering here at my farm, and he said you could bring 10 brand new horses in, and you could bring their owners in, and he said I guarantee you I could tell you which horse belongs to which owner. Now, the reason he says this is because a horse's energy is extremely mirror-like and reflective of their owner's energy, okay? And I hate that term owner. I guess I prefer partner or companion or guardian. But regardless, I mean, just for the sake of this video here, you get the point. I know a lot of people in this horse world, and I know people who are extremely anxious people. I know people who are extremely aggressive people. I know people who are extremely passive in their demeanor, and it is the God's honest truth. It is very reflective in their horses. I have seen people who are super, super anxious, and their horses are just bouncing off the walls like crazy. Okay, they're high strung, their heads are up, they're whinnying at everything. They're just like, they're screaming when you put them on a trailer. They're screaming when you have them in a crowd. It's just crazy, crazy energy. And it's not always like, you can't always, of course, blame the human companion. But I can tell you they are very, very reactive and responsive to their companions' emotions, energy, behavior, everything else. So if I were to walk out into this field and I was all jacked up and I was excited and I was nervous about this and nervous about that and nervous about this, I promise you these horses would be reactive to that. Chances are they probably wouldn't even want to come near me. Because they don't like energy like that. Either that or it would put them on alert, and they would be like, well, what's going on? What's going on? Where's the bear? Or where's the predator? Like, what's happening? And when you get on top of a horse and your energy is like that, you can imagine, you are literally in physical contact with them, and that energy is going to transfer throughout your body to their body. They can feel your tension. They can feel your movement. They can feel if you're stiff and if you're clamping on down, and so they're very, very aware of what is happening when you are both on the ground and on their back. So the one really interesting thing about horses, what I've learned is, and I'm no expert, folks, but I'm just telling you what I've learned throughout the years. But, I will sit here and I will watch these horses, for hours. I will watch their body language with one another. I will watch how they move another horse, how they react to another horse, how they react to noise, how they react to things that scare them, how they react when there's a rainstorm, how they react when, just all sorts of stuff. Like, what do they do? How do they band together? How do they separate? When do they separate? Why do they separate? And if you watch all of these things, it really is a fascinating study. Because you actually can learn so much about just horsemanship in general just by watching. Hi, sweetheart. You just gonna follow me? True is, she's my pocket pony. She loves to follow me around. But I'm gonna tell you a story. I was at a horse show one time, and actually, interestingly enough, I was with the person who took Thunder, that black Arabian right there, went down to a horse show about, an hour and a half away from here. My horses weren't with us. It was just, I rode down because I wanted to watch the horse show, and I went with the person who had Thunder. So we were all, I had Thunder next to me, okay, and I had him on a halter. Hi, Charlie. So Thunder was not in the show yet. He was supposed to do a walk, trot, canter, dressage course or something like that. I don't even really remember. It was a long time ago. But anyway, I had Thunder on a halter, and I'm standing right next to him. Well, Thunder at that point was not boarding here. He was boarding at another boarding barn down the road. And there was this horse named Daniel, who was a pasture mate with Thunder at the time. So by pasture mate, I mean Thunder was at this farm, and he had a pasture mate that stood in the pasture with him on a regular basis. And he knew, they knew each other. Daniel knew Thunder. Thunder knew Daniel. Well, Daniel was way far away. He was actually probably about the distance that Thunder is to me now, which is, quite a ways away. And he was in the arena, and he was doing his, he was actually being tested as part of this. He was in a show, and he had to walk, trot, canter around the arena, and then he had to, I don't remember if he had to, no, there were no jumps involved. He didn't have to go over any jumps. Well, anyway, Daniel was so high strung because the lady that owned him was extremely high strung, And she didn't even really like Daniel. What she liked about Daniel was that he was very flashy and he was very, very attractive. He was a very handsome horse. Big, huge warm blood. And he was a gorgeous horse, but she literally would come into the barn and she would be like, I hate you. You know, but she liked the fact that he was such a big horse and that he was a flashy horse and he really looked good under saddle. He was very impressive. He was like a, I don't know, $40,000 horse or something. She paid big money for him. So, long story short, she would come in and the trainer didn't like Daniel and the lady that actually owned him didn't like Daniel, but they used him. So they would come in and they'd be like, you big stupid horse, we don't even like you. You have an attitude. They would call him bad names. But I mean, they kept up with his care. Like they would brush him and they made sure he had all the vet care and they made sure he had. So for the most part, the horse was cared for physically very, very, very well. But emotionally, that horse was not cared for at all. Okay. So Daniel gets into the arena with this owner that calls him names and calls him a jerk and all this stuff. And she's she has to do her little course that the judges were judging her for. And Daniel I could see it in his eyes and I felt so bad for him. So they walked him out into the middle of the arena. The lady was on him and she walks him out into the middle of the arena. Well, Daniel's eyes were just filled with fear. Okay, they were white. I could see, his head was up, his tail was twitching. He was, and she was nervous on his back because she knew that his energy was high strung at the moment. And next thing you know, the judge calls out the order, which she's supposed to do, and she starts off in a walk. Then she's supposed to go into a trot. Well, then she was supposed to go into a canter. Well, she did the walk, she did the trot. Well, by the time it got to the canter, Daniel took off running. He went full on gallop. Now, this is a massive, massive horse, okay? 17, 18 hand warm blood. Just nothing but a tank. He was so strong. And what he did is first of all, he started into the gallop and he bucked his owner clean off. He went into this massive buck and she just went flying. She looked like a big balloon just flying through the air, and she hits the ground. Well, then Daniel takes off and he's frantic. He's running in the pasture. In the arena, the show arena. Everybody's freaking out. Everybody's screaming and yelling. They don't know what to do with Daniel because nobody can stop him. Nobody wants to dive in front of him. And I was just watching him and I knew exactly, I knew what he needed. So I brought Thunder out from behind the barn because we were kind of like behind the barn and Daniel didn't have a line of sight to us. So I had Thunder and I walked Thunder out to where Daniel could see him. And the next thing I know, Daniel's whole demeanor changed and he looked over to where I was standing with Thunder and he made a beeline for us. Full on gallop coming like across at us. He leapt the show fence, completely went over it, okay? And that thing was like a 5-foot tall fence. He just sailed over it, and everybody was screaming. But I wasn't screaming because I knew exactly what that horse was going to do. And sure enough, he leapt over the fence, he landed, he came plowing towards us, towards Thunder and I just stood there super calm, and I waited. And Daniel ran right toward us. He stopped dead in front of us. And his saddle's hanging off, his bridle's all loose, hanging from his, everything. And then he just got up to Thunder where, I was standing. And he literally went, and he let out this huge sigh of relief. And then I just reached over, I rubbed his nose, I grabbed his halter, I grabbed his bridle, and I said, all right, Daniel, just stand here with me. And, and he stood there and he did not move a foot. But you know why that horse did what he did? It was because he was so insecure with A, his rider, and B, that whole entire situation. And Daniel went to where he felt safe. Okay. And Daniel knew Thunder. He was his pasture mate. And Daniel also knew me because I would go, I'd talk to him. Just like I'm doing with these guys. And that was where he went out of that whole entire farm and that whole show. Daniel went to where he was safe. Leapt fences to get to us and everything. And then he got over to us. He never moved a foot. He put his head down. He let out a big old sigh. And I just rubbed him on his shoulder and I said, I'm sorry, big man. You know, I'm really, really sorry. And then by the time his owner got up to him, oh man, she was cussing and screaming and she was so mad at him. And she was like, I hate that horse. I hate that. Blah, 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 blah. And I think she sold him the next day. She totally got rid of him. But I mean, luckily she sold him to a really good home and they actually love him to death and he's much better off there. But, you know, he knew that that lady hated him. He knew that he didn't have a bond with her. And guess what? She got into the arena with him and he kicked her to the curb so fast he bucked her off. And, you know, that's why it is so important when you have a horse and you're asking them to do something for you, you have to establish that trust. If you do not have trust with your horse, you do not have anything. I'm telling you. And I see a ton of people, they go out here, they'll jump on a totally strange horse, they'll ride him through a course, you know, they'll get their ribbons and everything, and then they just toss the horse back. And yeah, can a horse do it? Absolutely. But I will promise you 1,000%, if that horse has your heart and you have theirs, they will work so much harder for you than you can ever imagine. You know, they will be there for you. They will work for you. They will do everything they possibly can. I mean, they got a lot of try in them. And, you know, they know what you're feeling. They know if you hate them. They know if you don't like them. They know if you're calling them bad names. They might not intellectually understand what the name means, but rest assured they know the energy behind it. So, you know, that's why I get along real well with this herd, and that's why this herd protects me. I mean, Cutter is the lead horse over there. He protects me. Shakespeare's my lead horse. He protects me. I mean, any one of these horses, now I'm getting to know the newer ones, but I mean, it's very, very, very important that, you know, you establish these relationships on the ground first. And people are going to criticize and they're going to say, oh, you know, your horse is supposed to work for you. Well, yeah, you know, I'm not so sure about that. So, true, that was not very nice. You know, I think that your horse can work with you, but I don't believe that your horse has to work for you, okay? And there's a very big distinction there. Like, when I get on my horse's back, I want a partnership, okay? I want a symbiosis. I don't want to just say, hey, you're a tool and you're going to do, you know, you're going to act as that tool for me and you're going to do whatever I tell you to do. I mean, obviously, I would like a partnership. I would like them to respond when I ask. But, you know, I also have to give something in return. And I feel like giving to them, you got a big old wad of grass there, didn't you? I feel like giving to them in the way that I give to them, you know, on the ground and here and brushing them and petting them and giving them their supplements and treating them and just loving them and just being with them, it really makes a huge difference. So you guys can see we got some rain. See how Shakespeare's coat has these little, you know, it's been wet. You can see the difference in his coat. But anyway, that is my soapbox for today. That's my soliloquy. We're already at 18 minutes, so I'm going to stop talking. But, yeah, if you're ever wondering if a horse can sense energy, you can bet your bottom dollar that they can. And, you know, you may want to respond accordingly. So, leave me your questions. Leave me your comments. I would love to hear your feedback on everything that I just said. You know, let me know if you like these type of stories. And if you do, I can certainly continue to keep telling them. So, all right. Well, I am going to wrap it for now. Thanks, guys.